y'all. Welcome to Unleash with DNA. I'm Amy.
And I'm Dawn, and we're so glad you're here.
Hey, Dawn.
Hey, Amy. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
It's podcast day.
It's podcast day.
I'm excited.
Me too. And this is our second episode in our Joy series. So our first episode was J for joy. And today we're going to talk about the O in joy. And that is a reminder to remain open. So O is for open. I feel like that's kind of Sesame Street-ish, but I don't care.
Open.
I mean, like we're going through the alphabet, but like, and the O is for open.
Hey, that is because both of us in our younger years associated very much with cheerleading. And so J is for joy, O is for open, and we'll tell you what Y is next week.
Yep. It's just our strategy, the way we want to record.
It's the way our brains work.
I needed to have a drink. Okay, so I wrote this as a little starter to kick this off. So the O in the word joy is a reminder to remain open. For all of us to remain open, it means that we are open to new opportunities in any shape or form. We're open to change. We're open to learning, open to trying new things, open to others' ideas, open to opinions, open to starting over if that's what it takes, and doing it all with an open mind, open eyes, open ears, and most importantly, with an open heart.
Well, that is easier said than done.
Yes, it is. And there's a lot of little nuggets in there. But I think it's important that, we talked a lot about being intentional and finding joy, seeking joy, seeing joy, receiving joy, and the same
intentional about joy.
Yeah, the same can be said about remaining open. And in life, you're going to get served up options and opportunities, and things are going to come your way. And if you are open to receiving them or open to even recognizing them, I think that the more success you will find, I guess. And I think sometimes people confuse that with where they think people are lucky, they go where like, that person got where they are because they're lucky, or that person is always lucky. Like good things always happen to that person. And I do believe that there is luck in life, right? I do believe that good things happen to good people, but I do think a lot of people's luck is really just their willingness to be open to going for it, whatever that has been served up for the, whatever lane has been opened or window or door or opportunity, they've gone for it, and it has worked out for them. So I think it's really less about luck and more about being open. That's how I see it.
Well, and I see it, totally agree with everything you just said. And I think on top of it being luck, I read somewhere that have courage to be open to new possibilities that show up in your life. And that's easier said than done, because first of all, possibilities show up when you least expect it. And you may be busy with other things or in a season of your life that you're not willing to be courageous enough or have the confidence or whatever to kind of be open to receiving that possibility. We talked a lot last week about like receiving joy and actually you have to be able to receive, you have to be open to receive the possibilities that are in front of you, because there are possibilities for all of us every day out there. And we don't have to take every single one of them, but they're going to show up in our life, and we have to have courage. And I think when you talk about people say that you're lucky, I think what people should be saying is, I admire you being so courageous, because I mean, that's really what that person is. That person's not lucky. That person had a possibility that was available to them, and they were courageous enough to do something with it and explore it and seek it and see where it went. And some of our possibilities end in dead ends, and that's okay. And some can go on to mean great things in your life. But either way, it takes a lot of courage, you know, to kind of be open to those possibilities. And I think that is what I hope that today, as we're talking a little bit about being open, is that we can maybe just give some of that courage, give some of that motivation for people to be more courageous, to kind of like seek those possibilities, seek those things, and just see where they go.
Yeah. I think, you and I have had a lot of experience over our friendship, and which, for those people that are listening that know who we are and our backgrounds, we met each other at work. And we've never even talked about how we're going to address when we talk about work, because we're still both working there today,
Together.
and together, and it's Camden, and everybody knows that. And it's this podcast isn't about work, but a lot of our life stories and a lot of our experiences and a lot of our opportunities to remain open have occurred in that wonderful place that we've been able to call our job for the last 28 plus years, 30 plus years for you. So I think that, open takes courage. Being open takes awareness. And then the opportunities, for whatever reason, always seem to find themselves more often in front of people that are willing to try it, right? And I don't know if that's I don't know that there's any like data or like truth or statements or stuff that I can back that up. I've never studied it, but again, I really think the more that you are willing to remain open, whether it be to an idea or a fresh perspective, or to trying something new, or to a new business opportunity, a new challenge, whatever it is, I feel like it's like a magnetic force almost. And the more that you are willing to bring that into you, it's like the more it comes to you, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
And I don't know it. I don't know that to be like a fact but I know that that's happened for me. The more I'm
Yeah.
open, the more opportunities I have to be open. It's very
Well,
strange.
and I have this little saying that I say, like, let me sleep on that, because sometimes my original thought may be no. I have this going on with this child. I'm at this phase in my life. You know, anyone, we really haven't talked about our spouses yet, but I deal with disabilities in my marriage. And so there's all the reasons that I would probably say no to some of the opportunities that come my way. But I'm the more skeptical one. I mean, I am, out of me and you talked a little bit about like you're still kind of struggling with joy. I can get to joy a lot faster than I can remain open. This is the one that I have struggled with for over 50 years, is to remain open to the opportunity. So, I have to give myself a moment, and sometimes that's okay. Like, you got to know who you are, but what you never want to do is you don't want to close the door too quickly. I mean, you can't like take forever, but you do need to give yourself some space, because it's like you said, it's not luck, it's being willing. It's being willing to use the gifts, or even expand your gifts beyond. And this is one that I could be talking to you guys for the next 30 minutes, but I want you to know this is my personal struggle. I'm going to be completely transparent with you. This is mine. I mean, and Amy, you've had to talk me off the ledge of that a lot of times. Like, I am always the one like, oh no, I don't, I give myself, I have all the reasons that it is not a good fit for me and why it's not good fit for me. And then whenever I kind of push through is when I have to tap into my courage and believe in myself. And also, we talked a little bit about this. I remember we did some leadership training through our company, and I had to speak at something. And I always say too, is being open is trusting the people also around you. Sometimes we may not have the trust fully in ourselves, that of the possibilities that are in front of you. But if you have the right support system and you have people that you have been fully transparent with and open with, they will immediately be like, oh my gosh, that would be great for you, or you would be great at that, or you could do this. And sometimes we do need that reassurance that what you may be going to do is in a capacity, and it's really more of your self-talk that's talking you out of it, not your talent or your capabilities. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I think that the easy thing to do is to like here's where we are in this world. This world is changing lightning fast. Like in our personal lives, in our business life, technology is advancing. Everything is constantly going, right? Like I remember some of the old days where we were like, oh gosh, if we could just get to slow season, right? Or things are going to slow down and be slower over this X, Y, and Z time, right? And we'll be able to catch
Yeah.
up. No, no more. Like life is moving. Like things are happening. Things are, in front of us constantly, and we're just sorting and filtering information in our heads. And so I feel like the more we remain open and flexible, the less stressor behaviors we take on because we're
True.
insecure about how fast things are going. Right. And it's easy. It's like the easy thing to do would be like, no, I'm just going to stay in my old ways. I don't really want to change. I don't really want to learn something new or expand that capacity over here. And the reality is if you open up a little bit and allow yourself to learn that new thing, whatever that is, you do it and you're like, dang, that's not so bad. And I'm glad I did that because now I can do this, and this so much faster or whatever.
Oh,
You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
and we're focusing a little bit on career, but like even that I am not in the same city that I started with the company with.
Yeah.
And so I had an opportunity in 2006, and I had a third grader, sixth grader, and 10th grader. And there was an opportunity for me that everything in my being said no. That mean I would be a horrible mom if I uprooted my children in third, sixth, and 10th grade. And I hope nobody's judging me because they're all fine and everybody's great. But, I had, and it wound up being, it was a really hard decision for me to make, and I worked through it, but it wound up being even open to relocation, opportunities, learning things new, a new home, like we have to, as humans, I feel like we just are sometimes deeply rooted in belief systems that we have. And that is what's holding us back from being open because, maybe you learned it growing up, or maybe that, again, we talked last podcast, comparison's a thief of joy. You look at, you just think if you keep your kids in one place and they stay in that one place, that's going to be the best decision. And, if I'm a mom, I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't do that, and I should do this. And so what happens is our rooted belief system sometimes holds us back from these opportunities. And there's an inspiration that I read. I'm going to read it to you because I'll mess up, but it says, imagine yourself with no limitations, being open to possibilities and tapping into your deepest potential. That means throwing your belief system, not your faith, but like your belief system that you can't take advantage of possibilities because you can't, or you won't, or you shouldn't. And just saying yes to possibilities limitlessly. I mean, what would your life look like and feel like?
Well, I know that we both just finished the book Die with Zero, which we could have a whole podcast series on that book, and we probably will and should. And so plug out there for anybody that's looking for uh some inspiration to be open to new thinking about belief systems and what we've all been taught about, working and saving and then retiring and then enjoying it instead of living your full life now, and the sooner the better. And that was, if there was ever an example of like a complete flip the switch of how we should be thinking about life and life's milestones and the different decades that we live through and being open to a different thought process. I'm that book, I mean,
Shout out to Bill Perkins. I'm just going to tell you,
yeah, it's got me in a
talk about
whole nother
opening
frame.
your mind. Talk about opening your mind.
Opening your mind and thinking about things differently and releasing yourself from the unknown. Because look, none of us have a crystal ball that works. I mean, we cannot predict the future. We weren't made to predict the future. Life would be a complete snooze fest if you think about it, if you could predict the future. If I knew what tomorrow was going to bring and the next day and the next day and or the next, like, and you could see your life in advance like that, what a snooze fest. You think you want to know, but do you really want to know? Like,
well, and don't spend any time trying to figure it out because you're missing the moment. Like you're missing what's going on today. If you're going to if you're trying to figure it out, if you're trying to solve the puzzle of your future.
And to his point,
I don't know about you guys, but it's much harder than a Rubik's Cube.
Totally.
If anybody even knows what a Rubik's Cube is.
To his point in the book, if you're saving up to live your life for later, and you're not open to any of the experiences that you are capable of living out today with your health, with your time and the value of your health and your time and your money, it's really just a beautiful thought to release yourself of some of these like things that hold us back for fear that later on in this, 30 years from now, something may not be there. Who cares? Right? Like, it's so liberating to think the way he thinks. And so I just encourage anybody that's looking for some, just an easy listen. I personally did it on an audio book and would listen to it on my commute.
Me too.
And finished it in no time. And it had my mind spinning. And I just think that, it's just another example of just being open to thinking differently. And you touched on it a little bit in your last thought, where a lot of times we aren't open to things because we think our family may not think that's the right thing for us, or we have to be here because it's better for our family, better for our children, better for our this, that, and the other. And ultimately, you making that move when you did, God, how long ago was that?
2006.
Okay, so I can't. Don't make me do the math on here. It's a long time.
I'm like, you and I should not be doing math on this podcast at all. But I think it's like 17 or 18 years.
Yes, you made that move, and your children all survived, and they all learned how to be open, remain open, move to a new city, meet new friends, and they grew from that too. I have made 2 moves myself for Camden, big moves, big life moves at different times in my life. And I would, as I look back on them, as scary and as chaotic and as hard as it is to pick yourself up and go somewhere else, it grew me as a person. It allowed me to experience living in other cities that I wouldn't have otherwise. And it allowed me to define where I want to really be. Like I knew I needed to do that. I wanted to do that for all the reasons that existed at that time. But I also knew that my heart would always be in Texas, and that eventually when I could get back at that right time, that it would made me appreciate where I was from and where I wanted to be even more.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Like having
it's like what I said last time. You wouldn't know what good is if you didn't know what bad is. You don't know the difference. And I will tell you, when you are open to new possibilities and you're trying something new, no matter what that is in your life. I mean, it could be even as simple as, there has been, I've gone through different workout techniques and I've landed on Pilates. I think I'm be in Pilates for till death do us part now. But I walked in and I saw reformers and I saw things and I was very nervous and I was very unsure and I was recovering from a surgery, but I was, so you go there and you have to really remain open. And to what you have to do is, when you're in the possibility, it's not always wonderful at the beginning of a possibility. Like when you say yes, you're not like in the honeymoon phase immediately.
Right.
It's not like all of a sudden it's like, I made the best decision ever. You are going to have to go back to the J, and you're going to have to start looking for intentional ways to find joy in your life, because change we could do a whole podcast on change, but change is, being open to possibility means you're making a change. Like you're
Yeah.
doing something different, and change and humans, woo, there's a special dynamic with that. And there's a lot of intentionality and a lot of open-mindedness that needs to go with it, because if you don't find joy when you're in the possibilities and you say yes to something new and you're kind of excited about it, and then it's not going the way you want, if you're not intentional about it, it could really become a regret for you really bad. And I'm going to tell you, it's a lot easier to find joy, and it's a lot easier to remain open than it is to erase emotions of regret. And I know that's deep, but I don't like when anyone I don't like, I don't know about you, but I don't like feeling regret.
I
It's
don't
heavy.
either, but it's also life, right? And shit happens. And there are going to be things that happen in our life and the choices that we make that we regret. I mean, and that's
Well, mistakes
mistakes
are
or
okay.
mistakes or I regret that I did that, or I regret, but at the same time, if you give yourself enough grace and you have an open mind, you can try to
True.
find the nuggets about that regret. Like I learned from it. I regretted that it
Well,
happened, but I learned like, I regret that I'm divorced, that I went through a divorce. Like, that's not something people roll out and brag about, right? Like or that they're proud of, or, that is a regret. At the same time, that is a decision that I made in my life that I'll have to live with forever. That, I had a child who I brought along through divorce and all of the things. But at the same time, I remained open about having a relationship with my previous husband, remaining his friend, staying positive. As crappy as that was, and as regretful as it was, I had to move on. I had to be open to
oh
making
yeah.
that change that was right, and remaining open to what that could look like in that next phase. And,
Oh yeah.
you know, whatever, that things are going to happen in life, and regretful mistakes, all of those things that come with change, good, bad, or ugly. I think so. And to your point, do not say no because you think you're going to regret it without even trying it. Like,
Yep.
at least try it. And if ultimately you end up regretting it for all the reasons why you feared in the beginning, so be it. At least you could tell yourself you tried, you gave it the good old shot, it didn't work out, and you learn from it. There's going to
Yep.
be some good that comes out of it. I believe that in my
And
heart.
and talking about this, there's like, okay, you guys are going to get very clear. I'm very much a quotes person. I use a lot of affirmations. I use a lot of quotes. They really kind of get me through the seasons of my life. And believe it or not, there's like an MMA fighter. I don't even really know him, but I know of him. His name's Sean Brady. He said something of all things, and it's so true. But as you kind of are, like Amy shares, like, I've gone through divorce. Like when you have things that you've gone through in your life and it maybe wasn't the right choice, and then you have to make a change in your life, and then you have to make the best of that change that you can make. Like you just have to make the best that you can out of that. But you need to remember that, our past does affect our future. It does, because what it does is it becomes part of who we are, and it becomes part of our reasoning and our thoughts and a different thing. So he has a quote that says, there is always tension between the possibilities we aspire to and our wounded memories and past mistakes. So sometimes your thought process is not because the door's not open and that you're not capable and it's not something that you should totally do. And it's going to be a life-changing decision for you. You could be bringing something from the past into this current decision that you're making, and you're going to have to learn how to I'm not great at compartmentalizing. I understand women are less great at that in men stereotypically, but I'm not great at compartmentalizing. But you do have to compartmentalize your past. You got to learn from it, but you can't let it affect your future. I think
you can't harbor. You'll never be able to move on if you don't move on. Like, that's just like, you have to declare it's over. It was ugly. It was beautiful, whatever it is, but it's over, and move on. And
traffic jam.
if I could go back and tell my younger self, get over it quicker, right? I
Me
would.
too.
I spent way too many years of my youth overthinking and over not letting it go. That I mean, now it's almost like a gift. I can let it go and like, give me two
Oh
glasses
my
of wine.
gosh.
It's over.
And let me just tell you, I mean, like you go back now, I mean, we are so freaking hard on ourselves as humans. Like it seemed monumental at the time. You thought it was going to be this tattoo on your life forever that it was going to be this permanent thing. And it's like now you can barely remember it and it didn't really hardly affect anything. We definitely can get into overthinking, over processing, doing it. And that just totally clogs up the whole open-minded, open to change, open to everything, open your heart. I mean, we're not even talking about relationships, but heartbreak. I mean, think about it. How are you going to remain open to love again?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you've been hurt. You've been, and now you just take that situation and you think this is going to be in this relationship, and all relationships are heart painful. All relationships are, like, or I'm not good at relationships. Don't tell yourself that.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Everybody deserves relationships in their lives. You know, we need them.
Yeah.
You got to move past anything that's happened because we're supposed to have good and bad. But
True.
I will tell you, pain, mistakes, regrets, they can clog up your freeway to being open.
And
And
I've lived seasons of my life being closed, closed off as not letting people in when I should have, or not being open. And I still do it. I still have a tendency sometimes to be that way, or being, just closed to just closed off. We talked a
you're
little bit, but
maybe I don't know if you were always closed. I've known you now for almost 3 decades, so I'd say you are a little guarded. You do your due diligence before you just jump right in. And I'm probably more of a jump in kind of person. I probably could, I don't know. I mean, but I mean, you're definitely, and I don't know if I think there's a lot of people listening that are exactly like you. I don't think
yeah.
that's
Well, I mean, I remember a long time ago. I think when I moved up into a different role, and you had an opportunity to watch me get in front of people, or whatever. And I was very, planned and programmed and dressed up and very up there. And you're sitting in the
formal.
back,
You were very formal.
formal, right? And you're sitting in the back, you're going, what in the hell is she doing? Like, that isn't even her. And then later
It
I'm
was
like,
like you turned into a different person on the
and I'm up
stage
there
than the
thinking like,
person off
oh,
the
I did
stage.
so good or whatever. And I get off the stage, you're like, who are you? And so I think, God has blessed me with so many personalities. It's not even funny. And I think that the other part of being open is just being open to like being your true authentic self, and just letting it, like, you don't have to be something you're not. Like, the more you try to be closed, guarded, not willing to like be your true, transparent, authentic self, you're not allowing the gifts that you were given, or all the spirit that's inside of you, to come out. And I will say,
Amen.
it's so much more fun to do that. And
Hey, going back to the J, being
yep,
open gets you more joy.
yep. I just, once you can get comfortable and have the confidence, right? Because it does take confidence. Let your insecurities go and just be who you are, right? Be like, and there's some times where today I'll be like, nah, if I get an invite to do something and that's not something I want to do, I'm like, thank you so much, but no, like, I'm just, why? Because if I show up, I'm going to be closed, or I just know that particular thing is not going to bring me joy today. It's, I'm not going to go deep sea fishing so that I can barf over the side for
Exactly.
12
I'm
hours. I
like,
don't care how
that's
pretty
not
it
going to
is
bring
out
me
there.
joy. That's not going to bring me joy.
Yeah, no. So
You
we're
know,
not going to do that.
when you shared your story, we talk about a lot of ways of being open, but when you shared your story about, because you have such a gift on stage now that I don't even think anybody would believe the person that I was like, but be open to feedback.
Yeah.
I think some of my greatest luck or success has been listening to feedback from other people as well. So when we talk about being open-minded, open to change, be open to feedback too. Feedback is a gift. You and I have this conversation a lot. So be open to feedback. Don't, I mean, even if you don't agree, it's okay. You don't have to agree with it. Coach G taught us, like, we
Yes.
don't have to agree with the feedback. We just have to be open to hearing it and then processing it within our own minds and our own hearts and decide if we want to receive that as a gift and do something with it, or if we want to go, that's their
Thanks for letting
opinion.
me know. Oh my gosh.
That's their
Speaking of
opinion.
Coach G, I did, when he saw our post on LinkedIn that we were going to do this podcast, he's like, oh my gosh, this is going to be fabulous. I said, we got to have you on. He said he would. But
Oh my gosh.
that was one of the biggest ahas as a part of that process with Coach G. First of all, I had to be open to even going through that process with Coach G, because that first time I met him and he's like going through all the things that we were going to do, I'm like, what in the wide world of sports have I gotten myself into? But anyway, that one part where he teaches you about accepting, like, first you get it, right? And then you have to decide what you want to own, what you want to filter, what you want to decide if you want to grow from, and then what kind of action, what kind of growth do you want to seek from that, and then be intentional about doing it. I thought was powerful. And then he's like, and then what you don't want to own, you don't. And it doesn't mean that that's not how that person probably feels, or that quality may probably exist for you. But if you're okay with it the way that is, then you do you. And so
It's
I think
such a
before
powerful,
that, I felt like I had to take like I was too
all of it.
easily swayed by feedback. I would change all of it instead of going, you know what? I'm going to take some of that and I'm going to refine it, but I'm going to keep this over here, because this, I believe in my heart, is really truly me.
That's a golden nugget. That's a golden nugget for
Yeah.
my life. And I was the same way. And I think there's people like us, and I process feedback the same way you do. We are very similar that way. I got to do something with everything that I receive. And he released me of that. But I do think there's also people who don't listen to feedback at all. They're like, thank you, but not. But if you come across as unopen to feedback, then you miss all the golden nuggets, because some of the feedback that I've gotten have been golden nuggets in my life. And I hope those people know what they've done for me. But we have to come off and let the world know that we're open to feedback. So the way that we thank and appreciate feedback, whether we do anything with it or not, that's not the point. Thank you so much for telling that to me. And I'm not going to get into a debate with you. I have to process this. But I mean, I think people think they either need to debate it, which is not necessary, or just thank them for it. Feedback's a gift. It's like a compliment. And whether or not you're going to do anything with it or not, just the power
Well, and I
is
think
within you.
when that moment, and I call it really sort of like a lot of it, and it's not like you have to, it doesn't have to be a feedback conversation. Feedback comes in various forms. Like, you never go, can you give me my feedback on? No, it's just like there's things that subtly come to you, right? Or things that you trust someone, or organically in a conversation you may not even be asking, but somebody reveals something about something that can cause you to have like a life pivot, or like to have an aha moment, or you're like, whoa, I really, like, I remember one time when mom was living with us when she was here in Houston, and she was trying, and I was really stressed beyond stress, and I didn't realize it, right? And she would like overhear me on the phone, and I'm very animated and I get excited and I can get amped up really easy, but she was like, whoa, 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 like, you are not even yourself in any conversation, right? Like, you need to breathe. You need to, like, if I could record you, like, you're so in what you call stressor behavior. I was so bad in my stressor behavior. And this was before a time where I could even recognize that. And she just lived in the house and just could hear it. And it wasn't even just in my everyday conversations, whether it be with Peyton or John or whatever, it was stress, or it was just like me not being me. Right. And she's like,
oh yeah,
time out. And then I'm like, what do you mean, Mom? It's because and if I could go back and undo all that, I would. But you know what? I learned from it. I did. And I try to stop myself now, because I could still go there so quick. Like I get fired up
I think
fast.
every single person listening, and me included, we all have a stressor behavior, and it looks and sounds different for each of us because we're all so different, but we have it. And I think you and I did this together too, is remember we took like the triggers, like we were trying to figure out what the triggers were to put us in that stressor behavior. And I think just self-awareness in general, which we could talk about in another podcast, and I know we're getting over on time. So I mean, stressors and triggers and self-awareness is such a important part of just growing and doing life. It really is.
Well, I think if I feel happier when I'm open, when I'm just in open mode, whatever that looks like, I'm better than having to be the perfect Amy, and everything has to be perfect, and this has to be perfect, and these expectations are here, and all that. That's Ms. Right. And so if I think that self-checking is just as important as feedback. You have to put yourself in check, right? When you're not allowing all the openness to flow through.
I have to, I lean into the courage. I feel more courageous. I can do my superhero pose, stand up, put your shoulders back, put your hands on your hips, stand up, put your feet a little wider than hip distance apart. And I feel like I am being more intentional with my life. Like I'm actually feel more alive when I'm open, versus I feel like I'm thriving, not surviving. And I mean, life can be those two lanes, right? You're either going to get on the thriving lane or you're going to get on the surviving lane, because either way we're moving, but one's just much more fun than the other.
True. Well, it took a lot of courage and willingness to be open to do this podcast. And this second topic of remaining open was something that we felt strongly that we should share. And I look forward to our next Friday conversation, where we're talking about the why in the word joy, which is all about just being you. And that might be my favorite, even though we're not supposed to have favorites. So
we have favorites. We're just not supposed to talk about our favorites.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're remaining open to everything. Anything else you want to add to this one, Dawn Mathwig?
No, just other than everyone listening, thank you for taking the time to listen to us. Amy and I are having fun. I love hanging out with Amy brings joy. So I hope that if you're listening and you're hanging out with us, that you will stay tuned for what we have coming in the future. We are going to have fun with or without you. We'd much rather you have you with us. But Amy, I love you. And one of the reasons why I have been more open is because you are probably better at that than I am. So thank you for giving me that gift.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for that feedback that you gave me long ago that allowed me to be me. I appreciate it. Love you.
All right. I love you more. Love you guys.
Bye. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for tuning in.
We know your time is so valuable. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel for easy access to all of our episodes.
Talk soon.